So should we just follow along on our starter project then?
You could. That's fine. I mean, really, I shouldn't be doing this in the cat Tinder Spring 22. I should be doing this in my starter project directory, but that's fine because I'm going to have my starter project look a little differently. But yeah, you might want to, because we are going to get into a part of this app that's going to be cat Tinder.
Right.
So you're not going to want that part of your starter project.
So should we do that during homework time or?
So, and maybe like you'll see when we're like, if you want, you can start following along on your starter project, but you can also during project time, go through what we did today and do that on your starter project. So then like that way during lecture, you can more just kind of like watch and observe, you can try to follow along, but then yeah, you'll have project time to try to do some of this stuff.
Okay.
If you want to do this on your starter project, that's fine too. And maybe I'll try to and you'll be able to see, but like when it becomes like the cat Tinder part of the app. Because yeah, we still have a ways to definitely a ways to go with just this being the starter project. Our starter project part of this app is not done. Because we have register working. We don't have, we have a login page that's not doing anything. We have this to do where like, if we don't have a user, we should not be able to come here. Redirect to login page. Stuff like this. So there's a lot to do before we even get to like our specific cat Tinder stuff. Okay.
On the register page, wouldn't we want like a username form that you could fill out or an input to put on the form?
A username?
Yeah. That way you can say like on the home page, like welcome username instead of their email.
So let's look at my schema and let's look at the user. I forget.
I think I was looking at, it's just name, right?
There's a name. There's a nickname.
Okay.
Maybe let me do this. Let's just add name in here. Just for fun. This is probably going to be I think there's going to be an issue here. So what I'm going to do, let's say, yeah, we do want a name. Well, because we could think there's kind of like two different cases and this, I'm definitely going to wait to show you this, but maybe we want to add our own attribute. Like we do want to add username to our user model. So we'll do that, but we're not going to do that probably today. We might do that next week. Because maybe I want this to be username, or I want like address, or I want something like I want my own field on my user table. That's not like a crazy request. And we can do that. There's a way to do it. So don't try to do this now. I don't want to get into it. But what I do want to show is like, these are the columns we have in our user table already. So I should be able to create a user with like, these, like I could give it an image, which would be a string. I could give it, I do have an email, etc. So it's like, I do have this name column on my user table. So let's just try to populate that. So to do that, I'm going to add a field to my register, which is just name. We'll give it the value name and then set name. I'm just creating some state for this. And now I can pass, that name value that's from my form to my handle register function. So I just added a field, created some state for that. And now I can pass that as part of this user object. So, and remember with this, we're getting this handle register. We're getting this function from our provider. That's where this function's living, in our auth provider. And we're using the use context and the auth context to grab that auth object, which has the function on it. So if I go to my auth provider, like here's my provider. This is where I'm like passing, like sharing this global value that has going to have my user state and that handle register function. And then here, there's my handle register function. So let's just do a console. I'm going to do a console.log right here so we can see it. Let's going to create user in handle register. And then we'll log it. Okay, so I'm going to start up my server. So it'll kind of be a good little review. Start up my React server. Okay, so let's go to my register page. Something I get sick of doing is like typing in, because I have to type in the email name and password. This is something that will save you time as you're testing. Because what I can do in my register function or in my component, I can just have some default values here. Oh, password I want to be 123456. And then my name could be like user1.
Then would you just have to change that email every time?
Yeah. But now when I come here, it's like filled out. And yeah, I would need to like, maybe I would definitely need to change the email, but maybe just to also make it so like the name and the email match, could change that as well. But I would definitely need to change the email. So let's go ahead and register. So there it is, going to create user in handle register. So there's my email test X password name user X. But notice when I look at my name, the value is null. What? I mean, I have it right there. Like I'm sending it to the form. Like, why isn't it saving it? And I wonder if I can see it right here. It's kind of a little weird. Like, so it's like it's coming in the, like my server's getting it, like registration email, like you can see like the email password name. So what it's saying is name is an unpermitted parameter. So it's like getting, this is like the sanitizer sanitizing it out.
So you need to put it in the sanitizer for it to actually stick.
Well, it's already getting sanitized out. So I don't want to show this now. I just want to show that there's a way to, like, I have to tell device token auth, hey, allow name to be allowed in your register function. it's kind of like, it's kind of weird. I'm not like 100% sure why they why. It's more the devise is sanitizing it. I can grab my user.last.
What are you meaning by sanitize?
The thing we've been doing when we like create, so when we create like any sort of our models, you know how we do like the user params or the car params, and it's like the params.require.permit.
Okay.
So in device token auth, they probably have something like this, params dot. I don't know, params. I think the way it's kind of seems like they are doing it. Something like this, params.permit, like email and password. Like they don't have name on there by default. So when I try to send the name up there, it's saying that's an unpermitted parameter. It's also saying registration is, but I think they're getting it through here, just email param and password param, and names in there, but it's not permitting it. So that's what I mean by that. And that's the devise token auth is doing that. Now there's a way to overwrite that, but we have to do that in a way that devise token auth tells us to do it. Because what I do want, like I can come into my user, I can grab that last user, I can say like the name equals like user X, and then user, oh, do I need to maybe store that to a variable? Yeah, I probably need to store that to a variable. So user, let's just store this to a variable. User equals user.last. U.name equals user X. And then u.save. And then u. Like now, u has a name. For that user.last now has a name stored in the database. So yeah, there's an example of, you know, a sanitizer saying we can't send up the name param in the register method. Now that's the people who wrote devise token auth, they, for some reason, that's how they designed it. They gave us, they do give us a way to override it, like to send it up. And they do give us a way to add our own columns. But for now, and just to keep this simple, we're only going to do email and password until we get done with this demo. So I'll say like this, won't work, name is getting sanitized, or I'll just say like filtered out. And we'll say this is like a to do. We do want this to work eventually. Like there's no reason we shouldn't, like we can get this to work, but as of now, it doesn't work. So I'll leave this as a to do. Cool. Let's see, did I, oh, that's right there, RA. So a couple things we could do next. I'm just gonna like, if I refreshing like logs me out. So let's do our login, because our login is going to be very similar to our register. So this will kind of serve as like a good little review for how this is all working. Okay, so let's start at like the top level of our app, and I should say our client app. So we have our index.js. So we're wrapping our app in a browser router, which that's for so we can do our navigation with React Router. And then it's also wrapped within this auth provider. So our app is like within our auth provider, and that's because we're going to want to provide all that information to the app. This is how we can have that global shared state and like functionality. If I look at my app is just kind of where I'm defining my routes. So we're either going to be showing like the home page or the login page or the register page. And then all of them are going to show the navbar. And you could, if you wanted to, also you could have like a down here just to kind of show this. You could also have a footer for all pages. Maybe you want a footer that's going to be the same on all pages. I can't go to that. This page is broken because, but like if I go to my login, like there's going to be a footer there. Register, there's my footer. And they all have the navbar. But they're only going to be rendering one of these. They're just going to match one of these paths and render it. Cool. So there's my index. So we have the browser router, then we have the app, which is kind of, we saw what the app is, but then our auth provider also wraps our app. So let's look at the auth provider. So notice I'm grabbing this use navigate hook from React Router DOM. I can do that because my auth provider is within my browser router. So that works. Maybe I should leave a note there. Can do this because, or I should say auth provider is wrapped in my browser router in the index.js. Cool. Now we saw this auth like we're doing the react.create context. Now the create context, this is the thing that's giving us our consumer and our provider, but it also gives us this like thing called auth context. That's what we're calling it. From there, we can pull off the consumer from that. And there's also a provider on that. But we can also export this auth context and use the use context hook as the way to grab the value from our provider. It's like a mouthful to say that. But we can also export this consumer, and we saw this yesterday. This was the one, like if we wanted to consume our data, that like our provider, and it was like a class component, this was how we had to do it. Because this way of doing it is like the new and better way where we use the use context hook. But there's that limitation where, if we want to use a hook, it has to be a functional component. So this auth consumer way of doing it's going to work for both class components and functional components. It's just a little messier. Remember, this was the one where we had to like grab our consumer, then create this higher order component to wrap it in our consumer so we could pass the value down as props. So then we could get the props from our provider in the component. So it's like this extra step of wrapping our component, because this is like the home class. We wanted to wrap that component in our consumer So we could give it that value and then we can use it as props. You know, a much cleaner way of doing this is to use the use context hook and our auth context, where we can grab that like auth value and then we can just grab it. So that's how I'm going to be doing this. I kind of just wanted to show you this one way of doing it, but this is how we're going to be doing it from here on out. Maybe we'll do one form or something this way. I don't know. We'll see. Cool. So there's a lot going on here, right? Just with our auth provider. So then we finally do get to this provider component, where this is where we're going to start creating our state and our functionality. So, you know, this is going to have a user, which is going to be that user information that we get back from our database when we're logged in. So, you know, the user is going to be an object, right? What kind of fields is the user going to have, or like, where would I look to kind of guess what this user, not guess, but know what this user object is going to look like? Because I'm getting this from my database, like, or I'm going to create it to my database. My user object's just going to be,
Yeah, you can only just go and check, right?
yeah, well, I could go look at like my schema. This is what a user is going to look like. It's going to have these fields. It's going to have a provider, UID, encrypted password. I mean, I don't know if the bias token auth is going to send all of these back, but this is what my user is going to have. Like, it's going to have a name. It's going to have an email. It's going to have like a nickname and an image. Like, so for now, all I probably really care about, you know, it's going to have like an email. And let's say it's also going to have an ID. But, you know, there's much, much more. And yeah, we can kind of, we are stringifying it, so we can look what it does have. I need to start my, wait, what? Do I ever have that in my database? See, it has an email. It has a provider. It has that UID. It has an ID. It has the allow password change, name, nickname, image, created at, updated at. So you can see a lot of those fields are from my schema. Name, nickname, image, email, created at, updated at. Seems like a lot of these things, the bias token auth is just not, is deciding not to send back. But there's like our UID. Do we have a provider? Yeah, we had a provider, UID, allow password change, allow password change. See, those are all there in the schema. Okay, but what, so that's our user, and we're going to send that down to this provider. But now we can also send down some like functions. So we have our handle register function. The next thing we are going to want to do is log in. So I can just like copy and paste this, because this is going to be pretty similar to our register. So here we're going to log in user. Now this is going to change. We're not going to want to do a post to API auth. We're going to want to find the route for that. So that's going to be defined by the bias token auth. So let's go into rels. I'm going to just go into my routes. So this one's going to be, what I'm going to want to do is create a session. And, you know, this URL is going to also like make sense. It's going to be a post API auth sign in. So we're creating like this new, what's called a session. So this is going to be the path for this one. So it's API auth / sign in. Let's change it so it's handle login. And same thing here, like when we get this response back, we're going like this will give us back. This call should will give us back the user from DB. But this one's going to be assuming email and password. So because in our database, we store the email and we store the encrypted password. So what the Device token auth is going to do, it's going to look for an entry. It's going to look for that email, and then it's going to see, hey, does the encrypted password match the password that you just gave it? It's going to encrypt it and see if they match. And then if it does match, then it will give you back that user. So it's like, okay, you have the combo of the correct email and correct password. Here you go, here's your user, and they'll also give you a token to say you're authenticated. And then once we get that back, we can set our user. So I think this is a simple question. Then after, like, what might cause this error to be thrown, do you think, in this method? Like, what potentially could cause this error? I mean, think just maybe stop looking at the code, think about it logically. What, you know, where this is our login function. What might cause login not to work?
The wrong information.
Yeah, you give it an email with an invalid password. Like that's not going to successfully log you in. So that would definitely cause an error. So an error in the sense, like, you know, that would be like a 400 error. That's like a client error. It's like the database is going to say, hey, you gave me like an invalid email and password combo. So there's like potentially like, you know, potentially like a lot of work here. You know, same thing like here. I would say more so here in the register. It's potentially right. You know, we're going to want to show why it didn't work. That's like use like good UX. Like, hey, this email's already been taken, or hey, this password's too short. Like alert error is probably bad. And so many times, like I see students, they don't have anything. And like they're doing their register or they're doing their login and nothing's happening and they think their code's broken. But it's like they're trying to register a user whose email's already been taken. And they have no idea why it's not working because they don't have any error handling. But for now, we will alert error. Maybe we could say something like this, unable to register. You know, do you have a unique /valid email? And its password greater than 6. Stuff like that. And here, error logging in. Is email and password valid? So there. this is just like, I think for you as a developer, like just a reminder, hey, these are some of the, like it could be your error where you're not entering a valid email and password. Cool. Because I think that just actually happened to me here, because I think I did test 2. This actually did happen just a second ago. Like where I registered and it had an alert error. And I was like, what? Now I could at least be like, oh, it's unable to register. Like, oh man, is that unique? Maybe, no, I guess test 2 is not unique. Let's do test 22. That worked. So it was like, that was an error because my email was not unique. And especially if you work on these multiple days, you might forget that you have that email in your database. Cool. All right. But right, these next steps of, setting the user and then navigating to the home, I think those are fine also for this case in our login. So now I'm going to pass this function, or I'm going to add this value to my provider. So now my provider is providing this object that has the user, which is itself an object, right? That's going to have like name, ID, etc. Let's just do user. It's going to have this handle register key, which is going to be a function. It's going to have this handle login key, which is also going to be a function. And both of these handle register and handle login are going to expect a user. Cool. So just for time, I'm going to take my register method and I'm going to copy and paste it inside of my login file, because this is also going to be very similar. I'm just going to switch where it says register. I'm going to switch this with login. Now for login, even if I have a name, I would not need the name key here, because for login, all I'm ever going to need is the email and password. So I can get rid of that. Name state, I can get rid of that because I'm not using it. So we grab our use context hook and we grab our auth context. And now we have, this auth object that has our user on it. It has our handle register and it has our handle login. So now I can call the auth.handle login. Now I'm not going to pass it the name because I don't need to. I just need to pass it the email and password. Can get rid of this comment because it doesn't really, that was for register.
Change the register on line 23 to login to.
Oh yeah, let's change that for UI so it looks a little better. So it says login. Cool. And yeah, this is also nice. I'm actually going to leave this here too for now. Just this hard-coded data. It's going to save me some time. I can't remember if I have a test 1 in my database or if the password's 123, but I know I have a test 2. So I'm going to go log in. Let's just see if this works. I do have a test 1. So I click login. Now that user is logged in. I didn't need to create that user because it's logged into the database. But yeah, so now I can log in. Now, if I give it like an invalid, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I try to log in, email and password. Like, is the email and password valid? No, it's not. So we're not able to log in. And see, this one is not giving us a 422. It's giving us a 401, which is an unauthorized error. So it's a little, you know, once again, it's a 400 error, but it's a different code that's letting, hey, you're not authorized to like you don't have the validation. Cool. And that takes us to our homepage. All right. So now we can register and we can log in. Let's do our log out. So, and for this, let's look at the routes first. So what I want to do is I want to destroy this session. So this is going to go to that controller. Sessions want to destroy it, but this is going to be the method API auth sign out. Okay. So let's do that. Let's go to our provider. And let's do our log out. So that's going to be a delete request. This slash sign out. Okay, but this is where we're going to get into a little bit of a maybe kind of something new. So really what I don't want to send the user. Like I don't want to, because I don't want to sign out. Think about it this way. I'm not going to want my user to like send their email and password to sign out. And what's kind of going on behind the scenes when we do like sign in and register is we're getting back a token. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to send the token. And then with all of these requests, and then devise token auth will find that token and it'll find the user that belongs to, and then it'll log it out. Okay, so this is not going to work. So let's, and let me call this, let's just call this handle logout. So going to log out user. I wonder if there's a way we can kind of just.
Wouldn't you need to give this function like that token, that ID that user is currently using? Does that make sense?
The ID of the token?
Well, because like in order to delete something, you need its ID, right?
Yeah, but think about it this way too, like an ID.
Or I'm not sure what the terminology for it is, but there's got to be something that it's removing.
Yeah, because I think one thing you might think that you could maybe, and this is how we've normally been deleting stuff, is we pass it the ID.
Right. But that wouldn't really work.
Or like, you know, and then we throw that in the URL.
Yeah.
Like, and then we pass that as like a param. Right, that's normally how our deletes are, right? We give it the ID and then we go find the thing to delete. So
but wouldn't you'd want to remove whatever's keeping the user logged in, right? If that makes sense.
this would be like this would be enough information for the backend to do this. Like if it has the ID of the user, then yeah, I can go and sign it out.
Yeah.
Like definitely the back end is capable of doing that. That'd be like an easy way to do it. That's like the simple way to do it. But why is this like and this is like something new that we're thinking about with authentication. Why is this bad?
Would that delete the user?
I would sign out. They could have it so it doesn't delete the user, it just signs them out. But this is, I mean, let's say this was the delete method. Like, I mean, there's a delete method. We can delete a user. Like it doesn't just log it out, delete user. I mean, what is that? That's probably like this method, I think, will delete a user. Like delete API auth. Like, why doesn't that have an ID in it? That's like all of our delete methods we've done have an ID in it.
Because it already has the ID, right? Because they're already signed in. Oh wait, maybe not.
Yeah, kind of. That's it.
I'm confusing myself.
Well, yeah, the reason we don't want to do this is because I could be a bad guy. I could open up Postman and I could do a delete request to API auth, and I could just, maybe throw in a random number, or now maybe I do know the ID of a user. I know this is going to be a number. So I could write a loop that could go through and like delete all of the users. So there's no protection here. So, so this is like the reason it doesn't have the ID is because like there's another way to do it. We're going to like want to send like the token. Because the server's giving us back the token, and then when we like log in, and then the server is going to know, hey, this token belongs to user one. And so if user one wants to delete themselves, that's fine, but they're going to need this token. And then like, because some bad actor can't figure out this token, because this is, you can't, like you can't come up with this number. It's just too big, too random.
It'll cause a black hole.
Cause a black hole in.
I was trying to think of a way to incorporate the black hole. I didn't get it.
So yeah, to sign out, what we want to do is, need to send token. So let's kind of look at, because we're going to use a third-party library to keep track of this. So it's like automatically sending the token. But let's just kind of look at what we want to do. Okay, so I wonder right here if in my like login, let's see if I can do. Right here, I don't know, maybe I'll put in a debugger. So debugger is going to like do what like a binding.pry does. It's going to pause our code right here. So it's going to pause us right after we successfully log in. So maybe we can like spend a little more time with this res. Do console.log. Res will log it and then we'll pause. Okay, so I'm going to sign in. Okay, so now I'm in that debugger. There's my res. So I can do like res.headers. Okay. So res.headers.access token. Where is it? It's this thing right here. I'll switch up. So res, so my response dot headers dot access. Why isn't this coming up? It's gonna make me do this as, yeah, it is. Okay, I have to do this as like a, I can't dot into it. It's not letting me dot into it because there's like a dash in there. So I can access it by doing curly brackets and do it as a string. Access token. There's my token. And this is not exactly true, but I could say like, oh, this is like, you know, saying, hey, this is user ID equal, what is my ID in this case? Like 2. Like my Rails server is going to know, like, if it gets this token, this is the token that belongs to user 2. And then, yeah, there's this other thing like this res.headers. You know, we have like the token type. Is that in here? Token type. Bear. There's like the client. So there's kind of like this other information about it, just telling us information about this response. The unique identifier. You know, it's a way like that's our, either it's using our email as a unique identifier because emails are unique. Let's see, there's another one, expiry. I think this one's like a timestamp of when, so this token has like a life cycle, like a lifespan, it might expire at some point. So it's like invalid at some point. So the point here is when we get back this response, you know, we usually just do like the response.data, but there's also like, you know, response.headers, you know, and this might have information, you know, other information. And in this case, it has information about, you know, the token. Okay, so there's another thing that's not related to authentication. There's another tool inside of your browsers, and it's called local storage. I mean, we haven't done this yet, but this is kind of interesting. In my local storage, you see these things like expiry, UID, token type, access token, client. Didn't we just look at those? This was actually from, we haven't done anything with local storage yet. So this is actually from a different project, probably done a while ago, like months ago, because we haven't done anything with local storage. But you see these keys in here. So this should kind of maybe get a hint of what local storage is. Local storage is a way for your computer to, like, for your Chrome to remember stuff, to like save it to like your disk, you know, so when you restart Chrome, you can actually have stuff there, or you refresh your page, you can store stuff, or if you're offline, Chrome can store stuff. So I can do something like local storage dot set item. So yo. So I can, it's just like, you can think of it as like a key value pair store. Why is this auto completing? So my value. So now if I look at local storage, where is it? Oh, I did this wrong. Set item. This is a function. I don't know why I'm treating it like an object. I can set item yo to be, let's do yo key, yo value. So now if I look at local storage, see now I have in here, I have that value in the key. So you can think of local storage as like a dictionary on your computer, just key value pairs, where you can store data. So you can give the data a name and a value. So I can now get item yo key. So I can set items, I can get those items yo key. I can also do something like this. I can delete all. There's a delete. I forget how to delete all. Local storage dot. Yeah, it's delete all, isn't it? Where's that? Because I called that all. Okay, I guess I gotta delete all items. Oh, it's clear. Okay, clear. Forgot what it was. Local storage dot clear. So now if I look at local storage, it's been like, I don't have anything in there. So if you ever want to do like offline data stuff, like your offline stuff, you're going to be doing it with like, or one of the ways you can do it is with local storage. So you could store stuff offline and then load it from local storage. Okay, so that's kind of another part of what we're going to be doing. There's also one other thing with like Axios that I'm going to want to do here. So with Axios, so we said we could like use this response right here. I could do something with Axios right here. To set Axios headers. So there's these common head. So when I get my response back from my login, I can set these headers. To what I got back from the server. So the next time we send the request, they're going to be set up. So we're kind of, so what we're gonna end up doing is we're going to be using like local storage. We're going to be using Axios default headers. We're going to be using the headers we're getting back from our response that have the token. We're going to keep track of all of these. Now this would be a lot of work for us to do. And there's a library out there that's going to do this for us. I kind of just wanted to go at a high level what's going on before we use this library. So it's not just complete magic. So let's go ahead and use this. So what we're going to do is in your client folder, we're going to do this yarn add device Axios. So we're adding this little library. Cool. And I'll throw these steps out. Okay, so, and then I'll throw this in Slack. What we're gonna add to our index.js. So when we're doing these API calls and we're working with tokens, actually another not complicated, but another thing that's going on is like for each API call we're doing, Rails is going to give us back a new token every time. It's going to be a different token. And then we need to send that token up for the next API call. So we're getting that token back from those headers. We need to set Axios to use that token to send it back up for the next request. So this init, like this device Axios is going to like use local storage. It's going to use the headers that we're getting back from the response. It's going to set them up so that we're sending the correct token up for the next request. Kind of a little bit of a mouthful there, but this one's actually, some of these libraries are, oh wait, no, it's, what is this device Axios? We can go look at this. So like some of these like third-party things we used are pretty like that they're just like one file. And you can kind of look at the code and kind of see what's happening a little bit. But you can see those are like, here's a list of those headers that we want to keep track of. And then here's where we're like setting the tokens. So we're going through these headers and we're setting them. We're using that Axios default headers common to set them. So when we get them, we're going to set them. And then we're also going to store them to local storage. Then we have a way to get the tokens from local storage. We have a way to clear the tokens. Here's that init middleware that we called. You know, that goes through and it looks through our local storage, see if those are there. So there's, and then here, like the Axios interceptors response request. This is just doing like when we do a response, it'll like set the tokens. When we do a request, it will set the tokens. So just at a high level, I mean, we kind of dove a little deep, but just know like with this authentication, the key part here is Rails is giving us back a token when we do an API call, like when we sign in, and then we need to send that token up when we do a request. And we're just exchanging this token back and forth. And that's how the authentication is working here. That's how we're able to be secure. Questions on that part? So so let me get rid of this debugger. So let's go back to my auth provider. Where's that debugger? Oh, I guess I did take it out. I just need to hit pause. Okay. So now in this handle logout, like I don't need the ID because when we send this up, that is done. You know, with that, it's done with help, you know, init middleware. So if our user is successfully deleted, like right here, if we are, so I should say logged out, what I'm going to set the user to is null. This is just on my UI or in my state, because if we're just saying a null user is a user that's not logged in. And then maybe I want to navigate here to like the login page. Or, you know, I mean, this depends, but like if you logged out, it's like, where do you want to go? Sure. I think the login makes sense. Let's do error logging out. So if we have an error logging out, you know, this is kind of like you send the token. There's not so much work here. Now we have this function here. Handle logout. So now we can go ahead and, you know, get this set up. So this is going to be in my nav bar for now. I could throw this in a lot of places. Yeah, maybe I don't, this isn't going to be a link. I can maybe have this be like a button. I'll click. So I'm already grabbing my, I'm already having this use context set up. So this one's going to be a auth.handle logout. Say button. Close up that button.
Do websites just also like if you just close it? Well, because like I was just thinking like sometimes when you click log out, there's another page that says make sure to close your browser to make sure your session really closed. Or sometimes if you just close it, it just logs you out. Do you have to like write that in or to have it close when you, I mean log out when you click the close button?
What's a website that does that?
I
Says
can't think of one specifically, but like that's just, I know there's, well, I mean, maybe it's the ones that just time out. This might just be a timeout. I can't think of one
Yeah.
specifically. I just,
yeah, if you click log
When I-
out, that
when
should
I log
destroy
out,
it.
when I
I
log
think you're
out on my, when I log out
I-
on my work website, it says make sure to close your browser to make for your logout session or to make sure it logged out successfully or something.
Make sure to close your browser.
Next time I do it, I'll just see what it actually says. Maybe it says something like that though.
Yeah, that seems a little.
Wouldn't closing the tab end the session?
I mean, logging out, like clicking this button should end the session. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's, or, you know, programmatically, maybe you should be able to like, you know, we can maybe clear local storage. Like, I think we could do stuff on the front end. So like, because when I say, hey, go destroy, and the session stuff is also different. We're not doing, technically, we're not doing like, we're using token stuff. Sessions are different. So
Oh, I think it does say session. What I think my work one just says session. I'm gonna try
Yeah.
logging in just to see what it says.
Yeah, well, look, because this should like when we say hey delete that, like it's gonna make the token invalid. So there's like no way when we log out that we could like go log back in. I guess that could maybe be true with the session if you're using session authentication. But yeah, for this will do it. Okay, I stopped my server. Wait, what did I? No, I didn't. I stopped my Rails server or my React server. So yarn start, because we added that library. So now I can log in. Let's just do local storage. Notice how I delete, you remember I cleared local storage. Local storage.clear.
Okay, sorry. It says please close your browser down completely to close your session. So I guess they are using sessions then. Does that sound like that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can clear my local storage. So I cleared it. So now if I do local storage, there's nothing there. Let's just log in again. I go look at my local storage. There's stuff in local storage. So that devise token, that devise Axios, that's doing this. That's doing that behind the scenes. It's like grabbing all those things from Axios and storing them to local storage. Cool. Did I not log in? Log in. Why does it say I'm not logged in? Okay, I'm gonna just start this Rails s-p. One and yarn start. What did I do? I broke something. I think I might know what I did. So yeah, it's like weird because I'm like, it's like working, like this stuff's all, but I don't have my user there. It's saying like the user's not there. For some reason, I don't know when I did this, but in my handle login, I got rid of my function to set my user. That would definitely break this. To set that user. So I accidentally deleted that line of code. So I can log in, that sets my user, there it is. And now I see that logout button. I click logout. And now I'm getting an error with the logout. So it's not logging out. Let's see here. So yeah, this is an issue where like I'm not like the 500 error. Why am I getting a 500 error? My application has sessions disabled. This is a different error. Interesting. I wonder if this is a this might be, I don't know, I need to like, I want to do one more thing first. Well, that should be, okay, so let's log in. So one thing I'm going to do, let's just to do a little debugging, and this will kind of be nice to see. So I'm going to log in. Now I should have that token. So I could go see that in the network tab. Where is that login? Okay, maybe I need to like refresh. Okay, log in. Let's go see that sign in. Cool, so the response. Headers, where's the token? So I want to see the token I got back from my server. Should be in here somewhere. Token type, come on, where is it? Access token, there it is, okay. Let's make a note of that. There it is. Or unexpected token, that's funny. Okay, so that's the token I have. So when I click log out, that's the token I want to be sending. So I click log out, and let's go back to the network so we can see this. So I click log out. Okay. So there's my sign out call. I'm getting an error. Yeah, this is the error we're getting. Okay, headers. Request. Crap, I'm sent, see there, so I'm making the request and there's the request. There's the token. So I am actually sending that token. And now it is breaking. So like the device, like this in my mind should be working because I got back the token, right? It's this, you know, UL ends with a W. And then when I do this sign out request, and I look at the request headers, I'm sending that token. But it doesn't like that for some reason because things have changed. And this could definitely be an issue with using rel 7 with the Vise token auth. So let's take a break. I kind of want to look at this for a second. And then, because what time is it? It's probably a good time for a break anyway. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, it's 11. Or yeah, let's come back at 11:15. I'm going to spend some time with this and see if we can figure it out. But this is like a good little demo of like showing what we're trying to do. We got back that token in our response. So I could do the sign in. So in the response, there's the token from my sign in call. And now I'm doing a call to sign out, and I can look at what I'm sending in the request headers. So you can, so this is all like request response lifecycle. So I, on the client, am making requests. So this is what on the client I'm sending to the server. And my server sends back response headers. All right. So in this sign-in call, I don't like the request headers. Like I'm not sending a token in that first one because I don't have one. But then when I get back the response, it's giving me back that token. Cool. So now in the sign out, when I do the request, it is sending that token. So it's like, hey, here's the token. And then when I get this response back, I get an error. And now I need to go your application has sessions disabled. So now I need to look at why this is. And like I said, my guess is that it's a mismatch between this new version of Rails, maybe doing something differently. But cool. I'll look at this. Let's come back at 11:15. Also push this up to GitHub. Okay. Yeah, what I tried doing was I just wanted to see if it was maybe just logout that wasn't working and that we could do the rest of the assignment with just the logout, and then that would give us some time. Actually, I tried doing like a next thing of like actually grabbing some data, and I'm getting like a similar error. Where it's like this we need to get this, the session's disabled error. So
Is it because of Rails, the 7.0 version?
It's hard, like I can't say, I don't know for sure, but I do think it is that's my best guess, is that we're using Rails version 7. We're using this device token auth gem, that says it really only worked up. When we looked at the docs, it said it only worked with like 6.2. I thought it would at least work for like the basic features, but it's not. Could maybe find a way around this one, but let's do this. Let's just go. So so this will kind of be interesting to show. So let's go, like, let's just start over. And now you're gonna be like, what? That's gonna take forever. But it's like, well, not really. We just need to recreate the Rails part using 6.7 or using a 6. Whatever version. And then we can, the client stuff is still like it's separate. Like the client doesn't care about the backend. So we'll just copy the client folder that we've done. We'll copy all of the client stuff into our new Rails project. Setting up the Rails project with authentication was pretty straightforward.
So is it too late to do that thing that you did where you can go change which version of Rails you're using?
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, let me see. I did make a copy of this. I don't think this is going to work, but we can try it. I'll just try it, but because I think what you're saying is I come in here and yeah, this is, I'm not even going to try it. Like change this version, like run bundle, and it magically works. But yeah, I mean, all of these files and folders were created.
Also, I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh, thank you. Share screen. I am recording, I guess. Okay. Yeah, here's like a Rails app. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to just, I think we're going to have to create a new one. Like schema 7, like, I don't think there's a way to, I mean, there's just like too many things that we'd probably have to change. It's probably possible, but we probably just run into some issues. I think it's going to be easier just to restart. But it's really, we're going to see like the stuff we've done with Devise, there hasn't been that much. So let's first remember, and I'm going to re-Slack this out. This is in Slack, but we want to now create a project with a specific version of Rails. So I just Slacked out this article. It would be nice if we all create one with the same version. I think, wasn't it 6.1.47 that you all had?
That's the one that I did mine
That
on. Yeah.
is what I have.
Okay. And you can look, so let's use that one. 6.1.47. Okay, so if we're following this like article, does it, well, first of all, does anyone not have it? You do the gem list, and I threw this command out in Slack too, gem list rails -- local.
I accidentally ran that without the last L and it still came. Just said loca. That's weird.
Nice. 6.147. So that's the one we want. Then we're just going to do the rels. So it's going to be the same like as a rels new command. We just throw in that version right there. So I'll Slack this out too, because I'm just going to do this right here. Rels and then underscore, then the version 6.1.4.7 underscore new. Call this cat tender. 6 spring 22. This one's also going to be, we still want to do this the same, Postgres QL -- API. And I'll select this one out. CD into that. It's up in code. Okay, so this is the one. Let's just, and I can like throw this up to a repo like after we do this. So we've created this project, we've CD'd into it. Yeah, you can create a database. The next thing we want is some gems. So I'm not even going to do this. Let's just do this the normal way. So, and also, okay. So in our gem file, I'll throw these ones out. Like throw these in your development, irels and the faker. So in this project, I'll go to my gem file and development, do the prirels and faker. And then here I'm going to do a gem devise token auth.
In development test or development?
For the device token auth?
For the pry and for
Yeah,
faker.
that doesn't either or.
Oh,
Just-
okay.
We never use like a test database here, so it doesn't really matter if it's the development or these ones. Probably would make sense to throw it in this one, but cool. And then yeah, that gem device token auth. Remember, this goes in the root level because we want this like device token auth. We want this for our production, development, and test. These ones we just want in development and test. Okay. So now I should be able to run bundle. That doesn't break. Remember last time that broke? And then we want to create this user model. So we use that device token auth gem to create the user model. Cool. There's that. That's creating those controllers, the models. Then in our user, we need to like add this extends device models. So we go to that user model file. So command P user.rb. Right here, we throw that in here. Add this to user.rb. There's another step where we wanted to add some migrations. So I run this command. I'm just creating a migration file called add trackable to users. That goes in the migrate folder, gives us the timestamp, and there's that Ruby folder. And then what we're going to add, you can just throw that in here.
Hold up, sorry. Go back to your gem file. Can I look real quick because I'm getting an error that says that the device token auth is not. Or what is it saying? Like said, I can't find it.
You spell it right? So gem device token auth underscore.
Oh, they're underscores. I think I did hack these.
Cool.
I'll try one more time. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. And I'll definitely go over these when we're done. But
Now it says unknown command.
what's your unknown command?
Unknown command device token auth.
Did you do run bundle? You need to run, because you need to change your bundle file. You need to change your gem file, fix
Right.
it so it's right, and then run bundle again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm running bundle now.
Okay. And then you should be able to run that Rails G device token auth command. Okay. And then the last thing I did was a Rails DB migrate. So and that was it for the Rails part. So let's just review what we did. So first in our gem file, we added this gem device token auth, and then we added these two gems, PryRails and Baker. So after we did that, you run bundle to install those gems. Cool. Then the next command we ran was the Rails G. I'm just going to copy it from Slack. The Rails G device token auth. You run that. Now that should have created, where did I run that? Right here. That should, so I can actually just go in order. So we made our new file. We opened it up in code. We changed the gem file. We ran create. We changed the gem file, ran bundle. Okay, that installed all of our gems. Then we ran this command, the Rails G device token auth installed user. So that's using the device token auth gem to create a model that's going to be like a devise model called user. This API auth is also going to do some namespacing with our routes. So it's going to also create some routes for us. Cool. And then we add a migration file, add trackable to users. So that just creates a file. And then in that file, add trackable to users. Oh, I actually didn't paste that in here. Oops. Go ahead and throw this code inside of here. Glad I double checked that. So what do I need to do now? Just ask you this question. I thought I had added this in here. What's something I need to do if I create?
Migrate.
Yeah, I need to migrate. So after I, do a new migration, this one actually might not pick up that change though. So if I do a Rails db migrate, yeah, it didn't do it because it knew that file was there, but it didn't see these changes. So I actually need to like drop my database, recreate it.
So when were you supposed to put that? When, like, if you had done the migrate, just when you did the other migrate?
Yeah, I did this. I had the file in there. It had, and the file looked like this. So I ran the migrate, and then it's like, oh, okay, I've done this file. So now when I make a change to it, it's not going to do it again because it's like I've already ran this migration once. So I can't come in here and change it and rerun it. If I come in here and change this file and want it to rerun, like I need to like drop my database and recreate it. Because if I look at my schema, it's not going to have those columns added. So I need to drop, create, migrate. See, now it does see those changes and then it's adding them. The first time it ran them, see, it saw the file, it ran it, but it didn't do anything. And then I run migrate again, and well, it's like it's already run the migration on that file, so it's not going to do it again. So I need to drop my database, recreate it, and rerun the migration so it does. Cool. All right.
I did all that, and I'm still not seeing that file,
What file?
the add tracker to database or add.
You need to run that Rails G migration add trackable to users.
Thought I did do that.
That creates that file, but then you need to copy and paste that stuff into this file. For now, I can do, I'm just going to commit this as well. Github. Cool.
So after you drop the database, you do a DB create and then a DB migrate, and then you're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still not showing up, James.
What's not showing up?
That add trackable to users file. So I ran it in iTerm, and then I dropped and created and migrated again.
But what's not, the file's not showing up?
And the file's not showing up.
And okay, so you need to run that Rails G migration add trackable to users.
I did that, yeah. And then
Then you go to your migrate folder, should be in there. Add trackable to users. And you need to copy and paste. There's that code in there because it will probably just look like this. It's not going to have this stuff in there. So in Slack, there's what it should look like.
I have a device token auth create users, but I don't have the add trackable to users.
Okay. Well then, yeah, you didn't. Okay, so why you want to share your screen? I don't think you're running that Rails G migration command then correctly. You want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's blowing up. Okay, is that what you looks like you're getting a big old error there. What was the last, just hit up. What was the last command you ran?
Right there.
Okay, so yeah.
Oh, method missing, undefined method, devise.
Okay, yeah, go back to your gem file.
Okay. Sorry, I got lost.
Oh, you're fine. Devise token auth. Okay, that's there. Go ahead and run bundle in your terminal.
Yep.
Okay, so now let's go look at that migrate file. The one you created. Add. Okay, now you do the Rails G. Wait, let me scroll up here. Devise token auth create users. Okay. Rails G migration. Do a Rails DB drop and DB create. Don't migrate it yet. Just do it. Just drop it. There might just got screwed up right here. Okay, do it. Do a Rails DB drop. All right. Go to your gem lock file.
Mm-hmm.
Just delete that gem.lock. Just delete it.
Okay.
Now your gem file, your gem file, did you make a change? Okay, that's saved. Okay, go back to your terminal. Unbundle. Okay. Did we drop your database? Did that work, the Rails DB drop?
Came up with an error last time I tried it.
Do a Rails DB create. Maybe you don't even have one. Do a Rails DB drop. Yeah, scroll up. What's the error here?
It's whatever this devise thing, it says it doesn't, its method is missing.
Is this your new cat Tinder for sure? Like you're not in your anything to
Yeah,
do
this is the new one for sure.
Go back to your gem file. Scroll up. Just go back here. Let's do this. Let's just go through the steps again.
Okay, sorry. I'm the problem child today.
So just CD back.
Okay.
We'll just, and this will be good if anyone's still not caught up, they can, so let's just start over. So do the rels new, like from Slack. It's probably gonna be the quickest way to grab that. Cat Tinder.
Can I remove this one first?
Yeah, go ahead and remove it.
Okay,
Okay,
that's all right, right?
yeah.
All that though, sorry.
Cool. So we're creating it. Yeah, we'll see maybe. Okay, now CD into that. Open it up in code.
We'll try that one more time actually. Just to make sure it's the right window.
I wonder when you added that first gem and misspelled if it like screwed stuff up. Okay, so add the gems.
Right here, right?
Yeah, so those are these are the gems we want for like our development branch.
Right.
And then we want device token auth in the root level.
So right here.
Yeah. Now go do a bundle. We'll see the, okay, now try doing a Rails DB create. That's fine. Okay. Actually, don't drop it. Go ahead and drop it. And recreate it. All right, cool. Now let's try and make, I think when you run that first bundle command, it screwed stuff up.
Okay.
So now,
This one now?
yeah, now that one. So here we're creating the user. Cool. Now we want to create a migration file to add some extra columns. Or you can do that. So add that line to your user model. Oh, maybe you didn't have that in your.
Where at?
Oh, I bet that was the issue.
I didn't have this.
Yeah, go add that in this class. That was probably the issue here. Yeah, that was the issue probably in your last one.
I missed a line. Okay, now this one.
Yeah. Cool. There it was.
Okay.
And then
And copy all of this into there. Right?
yep. Sweet. Now I should be able to do a migrate. And then you should be good. Cool.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, minus like random issues like that, resetting up like Rails, it wasn't really that hard. That's why I wasn't like so concerned if it like ended up breaking. I was like, well, we'll just create a new version using 6 and test that out. Okay. So now we have a Rails version of 6. That should hopefully play more nice with this because it has in the past. Okay. Now we're gonna do all our front end stuff, but man, that will take a while. So what I want to do instead is I want to take, so if I like open this up in code, because here's what I want to do. So I have my the version of cat Tinder, and I'll open it up in another terminal just so we can like see it. Cat Tinder. I have this client directory. I could open this up in code. Like this is the client directory that's like working. Like nothing should, like I have my home, my class, my auth. This is where we've done all of this work. Really what I want to do is I want to put this client directory in my cat Tinder 6 Spring 22 directory. Right? I kind of want to copy it there.
Yeah, can you use a terminal command to do that?
Yeah, I can use my
There's
terminal.
copy, right?
Yeah, copy. I could like go into my desktop and like right click and copy and try to like move it. But yeah, let's just do it in terminal. So I want to copy CP. So I'm in my week 6 directory. So I'm doing relative paths. And this is where like use tab complete to make sure you're going to like the right folders. So I'm also right here, I'm going to do a print working directory just so we can see where that is. So this is the thing I want to get. So I'm going to say, but I'm already in here. I'm in, if I print working directory here, I'm in my week 6. So I want to go grab the cat Tinder Spring 22 client. So I'm going to say, hey, copy cat Tinder. And like I said, I'm going to use tab just to make sure. I might have to specify a little more because I have all these different names. Spring 22 client. I want to take this client client folder, and I want to copy it into cat Tinder 6, just like that. And I'm going to also say, do this recursively. Now this one's going to take a second because this client has this node modules folder in there, which has a whole bunch of stuff. So I can see into cat Tinder 6, I can do an ls, and boom, there's the client directory in there. So copy and do it like recursively, go through that cat Tinder, like take this client folder and copy it into this project.
Do you have to run yarn now? Or is it all ready to go?
It probably should. I'm pretty sure I copied, like doing this -r, like it, I could do this ls dash, well, let's cd into client. I don't think I do. I have my node modules folder. That's probably why it took so long. I'm going to close all these so I know I have too many of these open. Okay, code dot. So yeah, how I could really tell, like here's my client, there's my node modules. It has all those folders in there. So I don't, it's not going to, it never hurts. Like but it's already up to date. Like I copied all that stuff. Okay, so let's do a command D. All right, here's the moment of truth. Like, so now we have Rails version 6. We copied the client in there. Let's do a Rails s-p. I swear if this doesn't work. yarn start. Oh no. Looks like something did not get copied.
Did we do the proxy? Or does that's part of the old JSON file, right? The package.json.
I mean, that should all be in there because we have our client.
Mine worked.
Yours worked?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm in the wrong folder.
Mine didn't. It looks like it's doing the same yours did.
Okay, see the client. Start. Another weird thing we could do, just to kind of show you. All right. Okay, so I have, oh, wait, I need to like start this Rails s-p. We'll get this working. But this is kind of like fun to kind of like look at like these weird combinations of things. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go into my Rails folder that we were just working on. That was Rails version 7. cat-tinder spring 22. CD into that client. See, run yarn start here. Okay, so I'm running the client directory in my Rails 7 project, and I have my Rails 6 project, Rails server running. This should, like, these are two, like, even like I said, the client being in that folder shouldn't matter. Like somehow when I copied it, it didn't seem to copy everything. It must have missed something. So, okay, why don't I run my Rails 6 app, but that client directory in that other project that was working? They're not, I can totally do that. Localhost 3000. I need to go to my login page because there's an error here, login. And then I could go to like localhost 3001. See, this is the one. See, my localhost 3001, that's running my Rails version 6.1. But this is the React app running in my, I need to open this up in code.
Hey, James, I Googled that and I think I found the fix and it worked for me.
Cool. What did you do?
Yarn, go to terminal and run yarn info, then yarn upgrade, and then yarn add yarn, and then yarn start, and it worked.
Yarn add yarn?
Yeah, so yarn info first. I don't
that.
know why, but
Yeah, I probably just need that yarn add yarn.
yeah, because the info just tells what it was. I don't know why they said that one.
Yarn add yarn.
They said yarn upgrade before the yarn add yarn.
Oh, okay, yeah, that one's, I definitely need that one. Okay, yarn upgrade. So yarn upgrade.
And then yarn add yarn.
I don't know if it made a difference either, but I did like the yarn add all the third-party libraries, and then I added the proxy, and then I copied everything.
Okay. Do I not have the yeah, the proxy should be there. Was it not? Yarn start. Oh, I have 2 yarn run. Oh. Okay, that looks like that's working. But do you see what I'm, okay, so that works. Okay, so let me stop that one Rails server and start this other one, yarn. Start. Cool. Yeah, that looked like that did work. Let's start up this other yarn server. Let's see, which is this going to run on?
So we're missing libraries, is that what it was?
I'm not sure what that was. Maybe just didn't like resolve. I probably could have just gone in and like delete my node modules and just rerun yarn and just download everything. That would work. But here's kind of what like I want to look at is, okay, so I have a website running on localhost 3000 login. I have one running on 3002 login. I have this Ruby on Rails running on 3001. That's my 6.1 version. I can also just Rails S-P 3003. Starting up all my servers. Now I can go to localhost 3003. So that's so now I have a server running, a Rails server running on port 3003, which is that's 7 version we were doing. I have one running on 3001, which is the 6th version. And then I have these 2 client apps, one running on 3000 and one running on 3002. But I have both of these client ones are pointing now to the server running on 3001. So these are 2 different projects. So I have this one was what is this one called? This is my Cat Tinder 6 Spring 22. So let's just throw that in my.
I think I got lost a little bit. What was the point of that?
The point of what?
What we just did with all the different servers. I think I got lost somewhere because I don't know why why we needed to pull up the 4 servers on like 3000, 3001, 2 and 3 and all that.
We don't need to,
Okay.
but I'm just showing like I have these different Rails projects, right? I have this one that we're just working on that was, and I just chose for it to run on port 3000. That was the Rails 7 server that we can't get Devise to work on. So we just created another version of Rails, another project, not another version of Rails. We created another Rails project using a different version.
Where the device will actually run.
What we'll see, that's what we're going to test.
Okay, I see now. All right, thank you.
And then I ran into this error. So the reason I got on this tangent was because I ran on this error where I couldn't get the client because I copied the client one and it wasn't working. But I was like, hey, I know I have another client folder that works. So I kind of want you could really think of these because they're two different apps.
Okay,
So
that makes sense now. I was confused on why we needed the 4 up there, but that makes sense.
yeah, because this I could say login changing that. So there's one project, but this is the other one that's running. Go to my login. Login, yo. That must be the one running on here.
Okay.
So this is how you can have one API. They're both hitting this server, this one that's running on port 3001, because that's the one we set up them to proxy. So I have this Rails running on 3003, like none of our clients are hitting that one. But now both of these apps, so this could be like a mobile app, this could be a website. So you could have like different versions of your front end accessing the same back end. Cool, let's but yeah, now that we got that figured out, let's stop this confusion. But sometimes going in and like just looking at something like that, maybe that kind of can make some sense, like maybe the ports. We can have different servers run on different ports. We can have our different Yarn or React projects run. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and start over. I'm going to close all of this confusion because now I'm going to be like changing multiple files and all that goodness. So yeah, I'm going to CD into 6. I'm going to CD into my cat Tinder that uses version 6 of Rails. I'm going to open this up in code. I'm going to split my terminal and CD into client. No, I'm confused. Oh, I think this one. That's not the right one. I didn't. See, I've done so many of these. Okay. I need to go into the cat Tinder 6 version. That's the one that I need. Okay. Open this up in code. Start my server, my React server, and start my Rails server. We still haven't even tested if all this work is going to fix stuff. But now we're at least at the point where we can test. Okay. So let's get rid of this one. So just to show we are on localhost 3001. That is now our Rails server on version 6.15. Okay. And then here we can go to not Slither, but localhost 3000. This is actually like with how I have this set up. If I go there, it's actually causing an error. So I need to go to the login page first. Okay, so then we can log in. Error logging in, password's invalid. Okay, well, I dropped my database, so I don't have that user. So let's go to the register. Let's go register this user. Let's click log out. Oh my gosh. Oh wait, no, that did. I got an error, but that's better. That looked like that logged out. I got this other error from something I was doing when I was debugging. So cool. I think that is working. So that seemed to be the issue. Like switching to version 6 fixed that issue. So let's do this. Let's go to, I want to fix that error that I had. So I'm gonna, and you won't have this error because you did not do this. This was something I was doing when I was like trying to debug. I'm going to go to my home.js. Delete all of this stuff. Because you didn't have that. I was just doing some stuff for some debugging. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that. All right. Axios. Cool. So let's try this again. I still think we had an error, but That might have been from what I did. I don't know, did anyone else's work? Let's try this. I'm going to log in. My login not working. Login. Register. Oh, this one's already taken. Test 2. Let's call this user 2. Register. There's my home. Let's go ahead, click log out. And now I'm logged out. What did I do? I broke my login. So now if I click login. Oh, wait, my login's working. And now I can log out. And like when we saw yesterday, when I was like looking at the version, I was like, you know, if this was, when I was looking at the device token auth and it was saying it goes up to 6.2, I was like, you know, if this was like a real app, I wouldn't be using Rails 7. Like if I was like really concerned about this, but I was just kind of like curious to see if we could get it to work. I still think I could get device token auth working with Rails 7. It just, I thought it would work for basic features as is, but it kind of seemed like there was maybe some stuff where it was probably not going to be worth the headache. I know it was maybe a little confusing, but because we ran into some bugs, but it really wasn't that hard to just create a new Rails project, just set up device token auth, and then copy our client. Like it might have been hard to get all 10 of us to do that, but it's now working. And what I can do is I can create a GitHub repo for this. So this would be cat. I'm just going to copy this name. Whatever I called it. And add that here. Add dot git commit dash m. Push this up. Like kind of glad you got to see this because you got your first taste of like why versions matter, why different versions of different things can break stuff, and how it can kind of just be a pain. Like I would be scared if I was like at a company to like update my OS to the new OS. So I'm like, how is this going to screw up my setup, my environment setup? Or like upgrading like something like we haven't talked about Xcode, but Xcode's like a tool to like run like iPhone emulators. Like it's like, man, I don't want to like, I'm going to have different versions of like an application like Xcode because I know my app runs on this version of Xcode. I can't say for sure if it's going to run on a different version. Because there's all these dependencies, and these dependencies are depending on different versions. And when people upgrade stuff, it can break stuff. When stuff gets deprecated, it can break stuff. I don't know. It's messy. It's one of my least favorite things about coding. And hopefully after this little example, you can see why. Because that was a lot of fun, huh? So what time is it? It's 12:15. Let's take a little break. If you're not caught up right now, you could actually, this would be a good time to clone down this repo. Because this repo right now would have the Rails version 6 and the client stuff, and this would be good to go. But I'll also stick around if there's anyone who maybe just has a thing off here or there, and I can help you with it. So let's come back at 12:25 and we'll go from there.
So this would be a good point to clone it down to use as a starter app. Is that what you're saying? Or to use as an example for a starter app while we build our own?
Like, yeah, well, I mean, you can, I'll just say, if you want to follow along with lecture, I don't want you using this as your starter project for the homework.
Mhm.
But if you're like trying to follow along with lecture,
I see.
this would be a good point to clone this down. But then, yeah, I'd want you to build your own version of this.
To this point, or do we need to be, does it need to be this elaborate for our homework?
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's going to get more elaborate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
at
what
point-
we have right now is we have an app where we can log in and register.
Mhm.
And we can log out. But there's some things that are, yeah, we're going to build on this.
Yeah, at what point should we kind of stop our starter project? Because I at least want to have it to where I can like have users that can log in and log out.
Mm.
But then I don't know if I want it to be like where it's like a social media
Yeah.
kind of
There's a
template.
couple things we need to do. One of the things, so when first of all, if I try going to like this home component, like, so I'm not logged in. I should not be able to come here.
Yeah.
Because I'm not logged in. So like this should just automatically direct to the login page. So that's something we're going to want to do. Another thing is when I am logged in and I hit refresh, it logs me out. That's kind
Yeah.
of something we want to fix.
I think what would be nice is if before we like end today, we get this to a point where it's like
Mm.
that would be a good point to have our starter project at.
Yeah, and these are like because we can log in, we can register, log in, and log out. Like
Yeah.
really, that's almost what we need. There's just, yeah, there's these extra steps. We need to do 2 React components, so we can't, it's called a protected route. So we can't go to a route if we're not logged in.
Yeah.
And we need to get, so yeah, I'll let you know when that's done.
Okay, cool.
And that's what we'll be doing next when we get back.